This question comes from Randy, and he's from Iowa, the gravel capital of the USA. Gravel capital. There is a lot of gravel out there. I have been out there. Question, how do I get a Gravel Cyclist jersey or t-shirt? There's the t-shirt right there. Unfortunately, Randy, the jerseys and bib shorts, etc. are unavailable to the public right now. It's not something I'm planning on selling, nothing personal. The t-shirts, I've only got a huge stash of mediums available at the moment, so I'm not sure what size you need, but just send us a note through the contact page of Gravel Cyclist and we'll get in touch with you about getting you a t-shirt. And if anyone else desires a t-shirt, please send us a note. Gil of Eatonton, Georgia writes in a long race or ride, how do you keep your cycling computer / GPS, say a Garmin, from going dead? In a race that lasts 6 hours or more, it's going to die. An example would be Dirty Kansas, where you can download a GPS file to the Garmin for directional turns, but if it's dead, then you are completely out of luck. This is a killer question, and I'm going to pause the camera real quick to get my prop. To answer your question, you need one of these batteries. There's many different types available from places such as Walmart. You can get smaller ones than this, perhaps a single cell. And usually one end has a mini USB port and a micro USB port. That being the micro, that's often for charging, and the other end is for actually plugging into, say, a device as a Garmin. Now, I recommend you get a longer cable than this. Simply, once it's charged up, plug it in, and I install Velcro onto the side of the battery, and also install the matching or the mating side of the Velcro to the side of my stem on this bicycle behind me. And if the cable is the appropriate length, you can actually use it to lash around the stem with the cable, the battery, so it's not going to go anywhere. You turn your Garmin on, you get your route and navigation ready to roll for your race, press start, etc. Plug it in. It will continue charging and recording and showing your route as usual. I've used this trick at Gravel Worlds, Dirty Kansas, and a bunch of other long races and never had a problem. In fact, Dirty Kansas last year, I didn't even make, I think I blew 3 status dots of this battery and had no problems with the Garmin. So, and I rode for at least 14 to 15 hours, so it works perfectly. So check these batteries out, they're very cheap. That's your question answered, I hope. Thanks again, good question. This question comes to us from Dakota of Georgia, and he writes, hello, I just purchased a steel KHS frame on eBay. I plan on mostly riding to and from places, but sometimes I need to go off-road. I need help figuring out what wheel set and tyres to buy. The man I purchased the bike from said the wheels must be 700C, and the bike is not set up for disc, so the wheels must match pull brakes. As for tyres, I want some of that rugged look. Thanks for your help, guys, an awesome website. Okay, Dakota, the first thing you need to really figure out is, do you have a road frame or a cyclocross frame? That's going to, I guess, determine the sort of tyres you can fit, how much clearance. Road bikes don't have a lot of clearance. So the next question, once you've got that one sorted out, is what sort of brakes? And you mentioned rim brakes. So if it's a cross frame, it's probably going to have cantilever brakes. I'll overlay a little photograph here so you can see what I'm talking about. Or road caliper brakes. They're quite different in operation, and both have big differences in terms of operation, setup, and the amount of tyre they can clear. I definitely recommend you visit your local bike shop. They can answer probably your questions better than I can. Chris of Illinois asks us, would you recommend using a 180mm rotor up front instead of a 160 for front and rear? Right now I'm collecting some gravel parts for a build. Good question, Chris. Our friend, teammate, Dr. Payne ran 180s on the front for quite some time on his Monster Cross bike, and I can tell you firsthand, I've ridden 160s exclusively in the mountains, and he's a good descender like I am. There's no difference I've found in terms of, well, I'm not going to put my hand on the rotor to tell you if it's hotter or not, but I recommend you go with 160. I mean, it might depend on your body weight, but 160 generally has been fine. There's plenty of surface area to dissipate heat, And the thing is, it's more of a established standard for gravel bikes. 180 is more for mountain bikes. And the other thing is, not every gravel bike is going to be compatible with a 180 on the front. So that's another factor to consider. So to answer your question, I reckon you should go with 160 front and rear. The next question comes to us from another fellow in Illinois. This guy's from Aurora. His name's Joe. G'day, Joe. Joe writes, SRAM or Shimano for a one-by setup on a gravel bike, and why? Okay, I'm not a fan of one-bys myself. I won't go into, well, I'll tell you why. I like to have my front derailleur, and I like to have a not so widely spaced out rear cassette. So I don't want to have big gaps. So I really don't have any experience with one-bys, but if I had to pick the two group sets, I'd probably choose SRAM. SRAM seem to have put a lot of effort into making one-by group sets for gravel bikes. So, yeah, I'd go with SRAM. That's the best I can answer. Sorry, Joe, I don't have a lot of experience in this area, but thank you for your question. This question comes to us from David in Jacksonville, Florida. He's looking at doing the Bootlegger 100, which is a very tough gravel event that starts and ends in Lenoir, North Carolina. I've ridden it myself, and it's got a lot of climbing and a lot of very tricky technical descending. Fantastic event, though. He's looking for tubeless tyre recommendations. He is looking for something that allows for speed control, reliability. Assuming it's dry conditions, can he run a 30 to 32 millimeter tyre? He's also looking to do the BWR race in California, and of course I've got a mental blank. I can't think of what the hell it stands for, but I know the race he's talking about. Anyway, and he's trying to settle on the right size tyre. That race in California is 70% pavement to gravel. Okay, for Bootlegger, David, don't mess around. Put a 35 on without question, at least 35, or even a 40. I ran last year the Panaracer Gravel King in 35 with tubeless. It's all I ride is tubeless. And I ran it on a, last year, I actually ran a Mavic All-Road Pro disc wheel set on the Parley Tobacco I was riding at the time. Those wheels did measure spot on, those tyres did measure spot on 35 on those wheels. And I descended in some pretty nasty conditions, no problems at all. You really want tyres that can obviously take a bit of a pounding, and because there's a lot of tricky, say, ruts and corners in that event. So it's not something you really want to skimp on in terms of the width. As for the race in California, yeah, I have not done the race, but you can definitely go with a narrower tyre. I'd probably consider the Gravel King. They make it in a 32 millimeter wide size. So, and I'm pretty sure it runs tubeless. So that's my recommendation for you, but good luck.
Traveling in a freighter car.